What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Frag Effect. All things fragrance, our journey, what we're doing, what's happening in the world, and going on along our journey. And so I reached out to my boy Kix and said, "Hey, we got to put something together." Before we get straight to the funk, let them know who you are.
Man, if you guys don't know, you should already know. You already know it's your boy Kicks Griffey back in the building here with my boy SB. We about to get into a wonderful, interesting conversation, and thank you for having me. And let's rock. Let's rock, man. Let's get
Okay,
it.
absolutely. So, quick backstory: Kix is always sending me fragrances, and he recently sent me, well, he sent this a minute ago, but I start stacking up so much. Sometimes stuff sits for a bit before I get to it. But I was rocking this for a day or two. This, and again, this will intro into what we're going to talk about today. I tried on this Mood On Eclipse. Okay.
Like, yeah,
And,
yeah.
unisex fragrance, citrus amber spicy. And I couldn't help but immediately think Tygar, right? And I wanted to share this with the pod because sometimes we have structured conceptual conversations and stuff, but I also think it's important for you guys to just capture regular stuff that content creators go through and think about while they're on their scent journey and the interactions that we have. Because, like, me and Kix are always talking about fragrance. We talk about life too, but fragrance is always woven into that. And so, our talk today or this week was this discovery I had with Mood on Eclipse, because when I called him, I was like, yo, this is Tygar, right? But then I was sitting there and I was thinking about it, and I was like, yo, Tygar low key has so many variations. It's almost like a Ventus. And I was kind of questioning myself in that line of thinking. So I'm going to open my phone here. And I was like, let me just think of all of the Tygar iterations that I know of, and or fragrances that star the note of grapefruit, which is essentially what Tygar is just like juicy, fleshy blast of grapefruit, fresh, spicy. It's kind of like the hotter cousin of a lot of the stuff that LV is doing or Elysium is doing. And you typically with grapefruit see renditions of grapefruit either done as a what I would call mono note, where it's just grapefruit blast, tardy grapefruit blast, or you kind of get grapefruit medley, where you're gonna see some orange or some lime or lemon on the top. And so what I wanted to investigate was fragrances, iterations of Tygar and other grapefruit forward iterations, and also do a quick history lesson on why grapefruit is used, how it's used, and all of that in perfumery. So I went down the rabbit hole before I talked to Kix, because he's the one that gave me this Mood on Eclipse. And by the way, do you have a bottle of this?
Of course, yes. I have a bottle. I have a full bottle.
Okay. And before I go into my rant, like, where does it stand for you next to the Tygars and other grapefruit fragrances? Is it top of your list? Why?
Well, I think Mudan, what captured me about Mudan is that it has this, okay, yes, the grapefruit is what ties it all together, which makes it relative to Tigar. But the twist I like about Mudan, like I've always said, it has more of a champagne sparkle to its grapefruit.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I get out of it. It's not just like this juicy grapefruit that is just in all of them. It has more of a sparkling note to it. So I
Yeah.
always call it the grape champagne of the grapefruit
Yeah, it's almost
fragrances.
even carbonated in some ways.
Yeah, yeah. So like a fizzy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's exactly what it is. Where do I put it in the list of it? I just think that it's its distant cousin, a budget friendly distant cousin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's nice. It's nice. I liked it. I really like it. I smell Tygar, and Tygar don't really do it for me. And it's not necessarily the price, as you know. We all can afford fragrances. It's just, is it worth it? And this just it fit the need for me. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? It did meet the need. So
What's the
yeah,
price point of
it,
this?
when I got it, it was $60. Now I think it's up to $90 now, 90.99.
Okay, and I'm gonna pop this up on the screen real quick for you guys to
You can
see
check
this.
out Fragrance Lord. Fragrance Lord should have it. That's who sells it. Fragrance Lord.
Okay. Yeah, and I pulled it up here on the screen for you guys so you could see the bottle if you're not familiar with the house or the bottle. Yeah, and I would agree. You know, I think a lot of times with grapefruit, it's already tart, and depending on how whether they go raw material or synthetics or whatever, they all have a little bit of subtlety to the smoothness or to the tartness. But then when you go next to things like aldehydes and ginger and all that, you can really pop it even further and push it even further. But when I went down the rabbit hole, and this is what I think a lot of people in Fragcom as content creators are aware of, but also buyers of fragrances, I was interested to see what I was able to come up with, because I'm sure a lot of you buyers are out there have heard of the fragrances I'm about to say. And hopefully today we can bring some clarity to maybe some of the better ones you should be interested in, and which ones that you could probably comfortably disregard. Because when it comes to the Tygar DNA, I think from my list alone, everything is within 20% of each other. Now, when I say 20, I don't mean closeness. We're not talking clone talk. We're talking 20% close to what the DNA of Tygar is doing. And also the fact that it is mostly singular grapefruit forward splash type of fragrance. And so the ones I came up with, and this was just off the dome, I'm going to name some fragrances that are just straight up Tygar, in my opinion. Hot cousin, twin brother, that closely related. And then just other grapefruit fragrances I thought of in my own mind. So starting in the niche realm, obviously, this Eclipse Moudon, Bulgari Tiger, which we were talking about, Lamar Kajal 3, which is one that Ross from TLTG Reviews has heavily talked about, even recently, as one that he really prefers to rock. I don't know if it's over Tygar, but he's just really been enjoying it. We also have one that a lot of people talk about quite a bit, which is Suspiro Vibrato. Um,
Yes.
and then one
Mhm.
that I recently did a comparison video on, Ex Nihilo's The Hedonist and Hedonistic Straight. I did a comparison video on that. That is very much in the realm of different weight, different texture, same smell. And then getting into the clone talk, you know, we have things
Mm.
like Malachite Scepter.
Uh,
We have Off Non Tarathi Blue. A lot of you guys know of that one. We have Jean Lowe's Immortel. We have Paris Corner's North Stag. We have Alexandria has a variation of this. I forget the name of it. I think it might be called
Black
Panther.
Panther.
Yeah.
Panther. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and Yaman Lail also has an iteration as well as Dua. And so some others though outside of that, already we are at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and we're going to go further. So when we think about just grapefruit forward fragrances that might be in the family of, but might not necessarily explicitly give you a Tygar feel, but definitely a juicy grapefruit feel. Fragrances like Burlington 1819 has a very tart citrus. Roja's Harrods, Terre de Hermes, and all of those iterations. We have a grapefruit, orange, and vetiver combo going on there. Dolce and Gabbana Forever. There we go. Kix has it on screen. Here's one where grapefruit might not necessarily be the star of the show, but it certainly is amongst the pack. And I just wrote here every juicy citrus from LV. Now, now,
That
ob-
is true.
now, obviously, L'Immensité is what we would gravitate towards as grapefruit forward, but a lot of those fragrances make use of grapefruit. in one way or another. I don't want to say explicit names because I didn't go through Fragrantica, but we know our typical suspects in the realm of Afternoon Swim, Imagination. I think even Matiere, a lot of the female fragrances from the line as well. Then I also have a fragrance, May Bisous, A Wondrous Flight.
Yes, maybe Seuss. Yes,
We
yes.
have Tom Ford's Grey Vetiver. We have Terre d'Hermes Eau Givray. We have
OG
Parfum.
Fresh.
We have Parfums de Marly Perseus.
Yes.
And I mean the list really goes on, but just there I've probably named well over 20 iterations of this style to the point where I feel that if you have two of these fragrances, any two, you pretty much don't need to look at these names ever again. I mean, maybe you have your niche and your cheap or your tart grapefruit and your more muffled smooth grapefruit, or your grapefruit medley and then your tart mono note grapefruit. Two from here could probably cover all of these. um I can attest, and I have most of these that I named, which is why I named these. I can attest that to me, I mean, Moudon Eclipse is phenomenal. Tygar is phenomenal. Kajal 3 is phenomenal. Suspiro Vibrato is phenomenal. Hedonist is phenomenal. Burlington is very much put your nose on it before you spend the bread. Harrods is very much put your nose on it before you spend the bread. Terre d'Hermes is selective to, put your nose on it. Dolce & Gabbana Forever, I think Dumb Reach Blind Buy. Any LV fragrance, though it costs a lot, is the quality is there. Maybe Seuss,
Right.
A Wondrous Flight, amazing. Grey Vetiver, selective. Put your nose on it. Make sure you're a vetiver lover, but it's the most vetiver receiving for people who are just getting into vetiver, but it's still selective depending on what kind of person you are and where you are in your journey. All the clones are amazing. Immortel, Tarathi Blue, Malachite Scepter, Black Panther, the Yaman Lail, the North Stag. They're all good. They're all great. They last, 6+ hours. And Perseus is great, and Ogivray is great. So it's kind of like,
True.
so out of so much redundancy, I don't think any fragrance on this list outside of the selective get your nose on them ones is bad. Like, I think if you bought
Mhm.
them, you would have a lot of wear and tear on them, right? It would be a go-to, super versatile spring summer banger, but around the clock if you want to get that fruity feel. Grapefruit is great because it's got a lot of personality. Sometimes you get bored of the lemon, bored of the orange, bored of the apple. Grapefruit always just, is an attention grabber. It's invigorating. But yeah, I mean, is there any other ones that you can think of, or is there any from this list that you gravitate towards?
Yeah. Now listen, I was just about to say, and I didn't want to cut my guy off, but take your pick.
Yeah.
Take your pick. You know what I'm saying? Me personally, I like Mudan. I like Suspiro over Vibrato. I mean, I like Suspiro Vibrato over Tygar. Okay. Um, and I ain't gonna lie, Perseus. My wife, I just sprayed Perseus on last week, just on the crease of my elbow, and I totally forgot it was on there. And my wife was like, "Whatever you're wearing, you smell good." I'm like, I really didn't care for Perseus. I have a little 5 ml. I'm like, what? I don't smell it. I smelled the crease. Oh my god, it was going like that. She's like, yeah, I like it, and that's a fragrance, right? So,
Yeah.
hey, I gotta get it now. I gotta get it now. But
Yeah.
overall, I'm happy with Mudan Eclipse. I have Suspiro Vibrato. Those two are really great, and now I got to get Perseus, and I'm kind of cool. And those three fit every part. If I want something sparkly, I'll get Mudan. If I want something more tart and like fresh, I'll get do the Perseus, and then the Suspiro Vibrato is just like bright. I like it. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
when I think of grapefruit, it just signified to me freshness, clean. We
Hmm.
used to having it in our bath washes and our dishwashing soap, so we just recognize that as being clean, right? So it works. It works for me. Perseus, Vibrato, Suspiro Vibrato, and Mudan is amazing. And I
Yeah.
got Tarathi Blue. I got Tarathi Blue. I'm sorry, Tarathi Blue is
And
great.
and you
I
have
like it.
Immortel.
I do have Immortal too. That's even great. See, take your pick, people.
Yeah.
Take your pick.
I think the key takeaways for me in this realization is number one, you have a great fragrance in every price point. You know, you have your 30 and down cheapy banger. You have your 30 to 60 cheapy mid-tier banger. And a lot of the banger bangers that I read from the top, the Hedonist, the Vibrato, the Kajal, the Tygar,
Mhm.
you can probably get from around 1 to 300 depending on where you're at with your discounters. Like even Kajal 3 you
Okay.
can snag for like 110, 120. Hedonist around 200. It's just I think so basically the point of this is when it comes to grapefruit fragrances, if you're not blown away by grapefruit but you like it, really any one of these at the price point of your desire will cover the entire base. If you're a grapefruit lover, maybe two max. So I think really the conversation that I want to bring to the table is like all of the ones we just listed are bangers. So take your pick and then also be conscious of your price point. But what I will say is if I told you that you could get Kajal 3 or Mudan or anything like that, do you really want to, even if your price point is like 30 bucks, it might make sense for you to just wait a couple months, stack some bread, and just get a niche around the $100 to $200 price point and just call it a day because now you don't need like 30 fragrances. You got a banger on your hands. And what you really get with the more developed DNA of this style is the textural components. All of these smell like juicy, fleshy grapefruit, but the additions when you move up in quality, you get maybe the tart is more tart, the wetness is more damp. Maybe you smell air and space more. Maybe the effervescence is more there. Maybe you get some sparkliness, some bubbliness. Maybe under the
Density.
grapefruit, you get some depth of richness
Yeah.
in terms of composition. And those things really are worth it, especially for a grapefruit fragrance, because you're going to wear it so much it'll keep you entertained and it'll kind of move with you and your vibe. If it's just always grapefruit, you kind of have to carry, and it's simple mono note grapefruit, you kind of have to carry that into every situation. But nonetheless, I mean, Dolce & Gabbana Forever is a very mono note grapefruit to me, and I would still wear that every day of the week if I had to. You know, it's just an invigorating, nice, easy. Girls understand it. It's got a lot of loud personality. So those are just some of the things in my mind, and that's before I even got to Chat GPT to kind of investigate further. Before I transition into my Chat GPT notes, was there anything you wanted to add to that, Kix?
No, man, honestly, you said it already, dude. Like I said, take your choice, take your pick. And then I just want to say this. SB touched on a good point as far as the range, right? The range and price range that you can choose from, right? Just be mindful on what type of grapefruit you like because all of these grapefruits are different but have similarities. Like I spoke on, one is sparkling. Tarathi Blue has some smoke. You know what I'm saying? So you got to know which one you want. You got to, and if you want multiple, that's fine. That's fine. Like I said, I got 4 or 5 of different ones, but they all have different types of grapefruit. Might be sparkly, might be bright. One might be smoky. One might be a little bit more rindy. One might be more dense. So, not to be redundant, but that's all I wanted to
No,
point
you're
out.
you're
Yeah.
100% right, and I'm glad you brought that up because a good example of that is my gray vetiver. That is a suit and tie vetiver, which or sorry, that is a suit and tie fragrance. That is very much grapefruit, but also very much vetiver, and because of that, what you typically associate with grapefruit, which is like a very casual to upscale, casual, versatile wear, with Tom Ford Grey Vetiver, that is a classy like semi-formal and up type of wear, or like a super dressed up, upscale casual for the rich man type of vibe. So you wouldn't get that if you're looking to wear a grapefruit fragrance every single day. So they're all dressed up a little bit different, but I think a lot of them are close enough. The ones that are closer to the Tygar DNA are more of that juicy, fleshy grapefruit feel. And then a lot of the other ones I named are more dressed up differently. Okay, so here are 10 popular fragrances, and I got the notes pulled up with you guys. I just wanted to make some quick comments. So there's 10 popular fragrances that prominently feature the note of grapefruit. This is via Chat GPT. So obviously Tygar, Dior Homme Cologne, Chanel Allure Homme Sport, Versace Dylan Blue, and Bleu de Chanel. Now, 3 to 4 of these are more, they're not all about grapefruit, but grapefruit plays a good part, like a big supporting role, whereas Tygar, I think, is like a celebration of it. And then in the niche and luxury fragrances, believe it or not, Creed Aventus Cologne has grapefruit and mandarin sparkle over vetiver and musk. It's fresher than the Aventus because of this. Tom Ford Neroli Portofino, Mediterranean citrus blend with Neroli bergamot and juicy grapefruit. Acqua di Parma Colonial Pura, refined Italian citrus cologne with grapefruit, bergamot, and coriander. MFK's Aqua Universalis, very popular unisex fragrance out of that house. A luminous blend of lemon, bergamot, and grapefruit with white florals. Byredo's Sunday Cologne, a modern twist on classic cologne featuring grapefruit, bergamot, and cardamom. Now, here are 10 fragrances where grapefruit plays against darker, warmer, and or woodier notes. So a darker take on the citrus, which is Dior Sauvage Elixir. Has a grapefruit which sparkles the top and then dives into cinnamon, nutmeg, lavender, and woods. YSL's Y has a crisp grapefruit layered with sage, apple, and amber for a clean but sensual finish. Givenchy Gentleman Reserve Privé has grapefruit and iris over whiskey absolute and chestnut to create an elegant, smoky feel. Bleu de Chanel Parfum is a deep take on the grapefruit opening, enriched by sandalwood and tonka bean. And Versace Eros Flame, which opens with mandarin and grapefruit, leading to pepper, cedar, and tonka to make a more fiery and confident feel. Couple more real quick. Dark citrus blends. We have Parfums de Marly Sedley, which is grapefruit lemon on the top. Amouage Reflection Man, which the grapefruit adds to a brightness and to the creamy sandalwood musky base. Initio Parfums Oud for Greatness has a surprising spark of grapefruit with oud, saffron, and patchouli. Powerful yet vibrant. Memo Paris Irish Leather. I don't recommend that fragrance, but to each his own. Opens with a grapefruit zest before unfolding into green leather and juniper. And then Tiziana Terenzi Orion. Grapefruit meets incense, patchouli, and musk. Citrusy, yet smoky and mysterious. Okay, so I just wanted to show you guys that some fragrances that you wouldn't typically call grapefruit fragrances that are very much a part of some of your favorite fragrances. And now I'm going to tell you why. But before I go into that, is there anything you wanted to speak to?
No, those was perfect, and the ones that you named for darker, it fits the conversation for right now because we're in fall. So if you like grapefruit around the cooler times, those are the cooler ones that we were speaking of earlier. Those worked for the warmer weather. This one that he spoke of that had a darker, hints. You could wear that for fall and winter right now, and it's just
Yeah,
so
and I
no,
mean,
no,
and I
yeah.
mean, I'm certain if they had the Parfum of Bleu de Chanel listed, that the exclusive, which just came out, probably maintains that grapefruit sparkle, even though it's a smokier take. Because a lot of times, sometimes it's not about projecting the note of grapefruit as much as it is projecting the note of tart, crisp freshness. So that's really interesting. Did any of those surprise you that they had grapefruit in it?
Yeah, it's because you don't see him as the lead singer of the group, right?
Right.
And I totally forgot, like some of those do have grapefruit up top, but
Sauvage Elixir was
the
like,
Sauvage Elixir, yeah, because you got cloves, cinnamon, you have all kind of like woody, coumarin. Isn't what's in that? It's some kind of spice. Huh? Don't get me wrong. Don't give me the line. I think cumin is in that, but it's a lot of spicy fragrances that kind of overtake that grapefruit because the grapefruit is up top, so you
mhm.
totally forget that it's in there.
Yeah, and the grapefruit is what allows you to make out a lot of the heart and bass because it has a big fresh lift in the opening and that carries into the less loud transition. It's a great handoff note to be able to still have a lifted, crisp feel going into some of the more darker, subdued notes, which is
Warm
same.
transfer.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean that's why bergamot is used so much as well. Oftentimes it's not there to be smelled; it's there to be felt. Um, so yeah, I asked ChatGPT, give me some explanations of why grapefruit is used in perfumery, and then we'll kind of do some final thoughts and wrap up. So, number one, grapefruit is used to add a sparkling, juicy opening. Grapefruit is most commonly used in the top notes of a fragrance to create brightness, freshness, and a lively first impression. It has a tart citrus bite, sharper than orange and less sour than lemon, which wakes up the senses and instantly feels clean and energetic. Also, this effervescence gives fragrances an uplifting and or modern character, which is why it's so popular in men's colognes and summer releases. Example, Bulgari Tiger, Blue de Chanel both rely on grapefruit to deliver that crisp, punchy opening. Any comments there, Kicks?
No, I totally agree. Some of the things I said was just justified. Thank you, Chat GPT.
No, number two, it's used to bridge fresh and woody or musky notes. Grapefruit acts like a transition note, connecting the lightness of citrus with the depth of woods, ambroxan, or musk. Two, its slight bitterness complements dry, resinous, and amber notes, helping the scent evolve smoothly instead of feeling too sweet or too soapy. In
Mm.
darker compositions, it keeps heavy materials from becoming cloying by adding a breath of brightness at the top. Example, YSL EDP and Dior Sauvage Elixir use grapefruit to cut through the dense aromatic woody bases.
Mm.
Any thoughts
Interesting.
there?
No, very interesting.
Hey,
Something
hey,
that I
ever
did
since
not
I
know.
upgraded to ChatGPT 5, man, it's kicking some game here. As long as I put my specifications in there, this thing's amazing.
Okay.
Number three, it's used to create modern unisex appeal. So,
Mm.
grapefruit has a gender neutral tone, not overly sweet, not overly floral, which suits the clean, minimalistic trend in modern perfumery. It's often blended with ginger, pepper, and vetiver to craft sleek, unisex, or office safe compositions. Example, Aqua Universales or Neroli Portofino rely on it for that effortless, fresh linen aura. Thoughts on
Nice.
that?
Nice. No, perfect office fragrance. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it.
Hey, I got chat's going ham. I got two more for you. So number
Okay.
four, natural versus synthetic uses of grapefruit. So
Mm.
natural grapefruit oil is cold pressed from the peel and has a zesty, realistic aroma, but can oxidize quickly, making it less stable. So, modern
Mm.
perfumers often use synthetic molecules such as nucotone, the compound that gives grapefruit its tartness, to maintain a consistency and longevity. So, most grapefruits are synthetic. Some fragrances even exaggerate grapefruit's bitterness with aldehydes or rhubarb notes for
Mm.
extra zing. So if you see aldehydes or rhubarb, don't think of them as singular notes. Think of them as supporting roles in an action film. They're there to give that zing. And then lastly, number five, grapefruit is used to symbolize energy and modernity. Symbolically, grapefruit represents vitality, clarity, and confidence. It's the olfactory equivalent of sunlight or a burst of motivation. It's often chosen for fragrances that want to feel dynamic, optimistic, or urban fresh, a kind of wake up call in a bottle. All right.
Amazing, amazing,
Amazing, right?
amazing, amazing. Helpful, a lot of information. We don't know it all, people. So it's always nice to learn something new through these chats, man. It's dope. It's dope.
Yeah, and one thing I've been um seeing in my fragrance journey is sometimes when you learn about something, you have the opportunity to see it in a better light and therefore appreciate it and enjoy it at all
Hmm.
or sometimes more. And so, we always, it's like, oh, I know grapefruit, Grey Vetiver, Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Forever, Elysium, Tygar. Yeah, I know that composition. I figured it out.
Hmm.
But even as I'm looking over this kind of educational thing that ChatGPT is going ham on, now it gives you stuff to look for when you smell a fragrance, and now you start to prefer certain grapefruits over other and see which ones are doing it right and which ones kind of, you might not look at grapefruit the same. You might be like, oh, well, dang, you might go back to your Tarathi blue and appreciate it more or less depending on what kind of feel it gives you. And you're not just looking to smell grapefruit and then check a box. You're like, well, oh no, like, oh, it can have airiness, it can have effervescence, it can have super tartness. Like, well, what do I actually like? Do I like a smoother? Does it change the occasion? What do I gravitate towards? And then also, you might find some grapefruit fragrances in your collection because I guarantee you guys out there have at least one of something we've named, if not several. Especially you content creators out there probably have at least 5 of these. And so maybe you go back and start to see what the perfumer did with those, and you appreciate them more for what the grapefruit idea is doing. And I've found myself doing that even with lemon, revisiting lemon. And I used to see it as such a bland idea. And now there's lemon gourmand, there's meditative lemon, there's typical lemon, there's suit and tie lemon, there's lemon as a background in the fragrance. And those are fun things that make your wearing experience cooler. So,
I
yeah,
agree.
man.
I
Anything
agree.
you got on it?
You know what, man? I just like the way that it just helps support or lead the whole song. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's just nice how it also combines or help lead you into the next tone, to the next fragrance, to the next like note of the fragrance, right? So I like it when it's used up top. When it's used up top, man, it's just beautiful because it opens up, like they said, the sensory. It
Yeah.
opens up your sensory. So it's like, and now it's like, oh, well, here you go. And I like
Yeah.
that. I like
Yeah.
that about it. I do. I really do.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think final thoughts is just like I wanted to show you guys what I discovered, which was like, wow, grapefruit actually, some I remember there used to be a time where I'd be like, dang man, I wish there were more grapefruit fragrances than then as you start looking around and you're like, well no, they're actually out there and they're very popular. You just don't know. So
Yeah. Yeah.
there's a lot to choose from, and that was just like around the Tygar, and we did name some other ones, but the rabbit hole started with Tygar. But
Yeah.
there's certainly a lot of other fragrances out there that have grapefruit, maybe more of a supportive role. But I'm interested in you guys. What fragrances that we listed at the beginning do you have in your collection? Which ones do you prefer? Do you have a lot of experience with a ton of grapefruit ideas? I know for me, at first in my fragrance journey, I just liked that grapefruit felt different than your typical Dolce and Gabbana light blue medley feel.
Yeah.
Grapefruit is like,
Yeah.
this actually has some balls to it, some growl to it.
Yeah.
It's more invigorating than some of the other stuff, and that's why I gravitated towards it. And so naturally moving up to niche with it, I'm like, oh shoot, like, yeah, this is me. But I'm curious to know what y'all think. What are some grapefruits in your collection that you immediately gravitate towards? I know you spoke about it a little bit in the beginning.
Oh, me, man. Look, the ones that, like I said, honestly, man, if you could get your nose on this is just beautiful. I just love it. If you can find it, it's some still floating out there. That's Dolce Gabbana Light Blue Forever. The grapefruit in this is just to die for. I love the Terre de Mes Ogivray, beautiful grapefruit. Love the brightness in that grapefruit. And it's just grapefruit is like the cheat code. It's the big boy with the beard. It makes him look good, right? So yeah, guys. So hey, look, just check it out. Be mindful. And there's just so many grapefruits. I could go on and on for days. I don't want to make love to the track, but SB just gave us some vital information to look for as far as when it comes down to grapefruits. And man, now I'm looking at it a little bit differently now, man. Thanks.
Awesome. Well, hey guys, listen, man, we do this pod just to give you guys something to listen to. We hope it was informative, entertaining, and ultimately helps your journey. Hope it spurs on some community, y'all talking to each other about fragrances more. Hope it gave you some more things to think about, maybe even some reassurance in what you already have. If you guys have any questions about this, topic, feel free to talk in the chat. We do talk back. And also, if you don't know, this pod is, I believe, going to be episode 10 or 11, which means that we have 9 episodes that maybe you haven't checked out, which we have collabs, and some are more conceptual and some are history and documentary style. So I'm going to put 2 recommendations on each side of the screen for you. If you enjoyed this pod, we're going to head out, but you can stay a while and just kind of binge watch our content. You can also check it out in the playlist section under the podcast, the Frag Effect. But we just really appreciate you guys always for tuning in and being the community, because without you guys, we really would be directionless and be just sitting on the phone all day chatting about frags. So we appreciate you guys for giving us a job here on
For
the
sure.
internet with this fragrance stuff. So
For
hope y'all have a
sure.
blessed day. Kicks Griffey. SB, peace, y'all. Be
Out.
blessed.
Yak Mob.